Good morning, Cameron.
Good morning.
That's not good. It's like a high-speed chase that just happened right outside. Good morning, Edison. Good morning, Tyler. Oh, shoot. Did I just close? Oh, just glitching. Good morning, Mildred. Good morning, everybody. As you're filtering in, let's turn on our cameras, please, so that I can see that you're here. Thank you. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Tyler.
Can I use the restroom real quick?
Yeah, sure you can. Wait a couple more minutes because we're still missing quite a few people. I'm trying to let people in as quickly as I can. Make sure I'm marking everybody down as present. Good morning. Good morning. So did people go to their MAP testing remake sessions? If you didn't, you need to go today. All right. So if you didn't get that message yesterday, make sure that you go today so that you can finish as many parts of the MAP test as you can. Because we need to get those tests finished and we want to try to get them finished this week, ideally. So just a reminder to make sure to check to see where you need to go for that. All right. So only if you didn't finish a test do you need to go. Okay. So if there was any test that you know for a fact that you didn't finish, then you should go. And what you need to do is you need to go back to whatever Zoom room you were in when you tested the first time is where you'll go back to test again. Okay. So it should be listed. Oh, it's in on the, no, that's at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. I'm just reminding you because we were missing a lot of people yesterday. I'm a proctor for 10th grade, but I'm just reminding everybody because, yeah, yesterday there were a lot of people missing at 2 o'clock. Okay. So I'm just doing my part, reminding you that you need to make sure that you finish your tests. All right, so everybody get their cameras on. If you're here, please turn on your camera. Trying to make sure that I'm not missing anybody. I don't want to mark anybody as absent if they're not absent. Okay, good, good. All right, so let's get started. First of all, let's look at the, before we start the, this session, let's look at our Padlets. Okay, so let's go back and look at our Padlets. And really quickly, I want to talk about 21 Chump Street. All right. Okay. I want to talk about 21 Chump Street. So we got to various points in analyzing the plot, but that's okay. So we all agreed that the protagonist was Justin and the antagonist was Naomi. So what was Justin's goal? Somebody tell me what Justin's goal was. To date Naomi, says Tyler. Okay. To get with Naomi. All right. Okay. So, right. So he wants to get her to go out with him. Good. All right. So Naomi is in opposition to that, right? But she's also got a goal. What's her goal? What is she trying to do? To get drugs? Okay, but why does she want to get drugs? I'm going to turn my ring light on so that I'm not such a pasty ghost. To catch people, right? She's trying to catch, yeah, she's a cop. She's trying, her assignment, right, is to pretend to be a high schooler and to find out who is attempting to, who's selling drugs, right? Yes, good. All right, cool, perfect. So we understand that. All right, so stasis, that who, what, where, when, why, right? So we know we're in a high school. They gave us even more specific information. Where are we We're in a high school, but where? If you can remember, they mention it a couple of times at the beginning and towards the end. Florida, yeah. Okay, good. And they even actually tell us the name of the school, but it's real fast, so I didn't expect you to catch it. All right. But they actually tell us that we're in specifically in Florida. Okay, so there's our where, right? So our when we can kind of guess because Justin talks about being a being a honor roll student, and he's asking Naomi to the prom. So we're probably talking about the second semester of school, right? Okay, so like I said, the more specific information you can start to find, the better. Okay. And why is this story being told? What's this play about? What's the play trying to say? What's the theme of the play? So don't do things for women, okay? Let's try to use language appropriate for class, okay? I'm trying to teach people that their actions have consequences. That's what she says, right? Okay, don't change yourself to try to date somebody, maybe, right? What else? Do you think it might also be about sort of the war on drugs? Okay, about making right decisions. Okay. Okay, so there's a few things, right? And you can make an argument for all of these things. Okay, good. All right, so then our initiating event is what? So we're in Florida, we're in a high school. Justin's an honor roll student. And then what happens to change things? What sort of kicks the plot off? Naomi comes to the school. Right. So that starts the plot. If his goal is to get the girl, then we have to meet the girl, right? So Naomi comes to the school and Justin begins to try to do various things to date her, right? Okay, good. So all of the things that he tries to do, right? He texts her, right? He does the dance to ask her to prom in front of everybody. And then finally, she asks him a specific thing, a specific favor, right? She asked him to get the drugs. So the crisis is what? What's the no returning? No, like we can't go back point. Right. Good, Zanette. He gets the drugs and then, even more importantly, he gives them to her, right? But yeah, he gets the drugs. Now he's got them, right? He's actually engaged in buying, right? He has them, okay? Our major climax is the highest moment of emotional intensity in the play, which is what? He takes the money. How does he end up getting the money? What happens? Okay, getting arrested when the cops come to school. Okay. Okay, the kiss, right? All right. Then we have everybody gets arrested and the new stasis. So compare the beginning to the end. So we were in a high school and now we're where? Good. Good, Carla. Yeah. We were in a high school. Now we're in jail. Yeah, in court. Okay. So Justin was a honor roll student, and now he's what? He pleads guilty to 3 years of probation, and it was a what? Hey, Jada, that's not appropriate. You need to get to a setting where you can focus. Okay. He's a criminal. Specifically, he's a felon, right? Okay. So he went from being an honor roll student to being a felon, right? Okay. So you see the differences, right? All right. Okay, good. So a great first attempt at plot analysis. And if you didn't catch them all, that's okay. I didn't expect you to. All right. We're just going to keep practicing at trying to analyze different plots. And this was just our first go at it. All right. Okay, so I want everybody to go into Schoology, open up the basic theater vocabulary sheet that you should have already studied, okay? And let's go through theater vocabulary, okay? I'm not going to have you do the do now right now. However, I still want you to put this in your journals for your entry for today. So make sure that you go to the PowerPoint and add this into your journal later as homework. Okay. So this will be the question you're going to add as homework, or I want you to look over the vocabulary sheet and see if there are any words on that sheet that are used differently in the theater than what you are accustomed to. Okay, so that'll be your journal entry for today. We're not going to spend time in class doing it, but all you have to do is refer back to the PowerPoint to do it. All right. Okay, so let's start with, I broke up the whole vocabulary sheet and I tried to sort of categorize it into vocabulary that is often used by actors and directors and vocabulary that's often used by the like the technicians. And so that way it's a little bit easier to digest. So compare this list to what is on the vocabulary sheet. And I want you to tell me if there's anything that you need more explanation for, anything where the definition on the vocabulary sheet still doesn't make sense, it's not enough, you want me to go into more detail, all right? And just put that in the chat, or you can come off mute and ask me. Fourth wall, all right, so that's one, good. Sight lines, okay, all right. Pretty much every class has picked the same ones, so that's a good indicator. Okay, so let's look at the fourth wall. So let me close this for a second. And I'm going to bring up a picture of the proscenium. Okay, so if we look at the proscenium from up above, you see this dashed line that they have labeled as the proscenium line. Let me open this in a new tab, okay? Or apparently I just downloaded it. I did not mean to do that. Okay. The dashed line that they have labeled as a proscenium line. That is the fourth wall. It's an invisible wall. I was muted. How long have I been muted? All right. Proscenium, dashed line, invisible wall that separates the action on stage and the audience. In most plays written in a realistic style, the characters are not aware that they are being watched, right? Now, of course, the actors themselves know that they're being watched, but the characters don't. So the characters act as if there is a wall there, right? They're in their own world. And we, the audience, get to see through that invisible wall to watch the action that is happening on stage. Okay, make sense? Okay, cool. All right. So keep this sort of dashed line in mind. Now, sight lines also have to do with the proscenium. So if we look at this picture, we have to think about what the people, even on the edges, can see. So the people who are all the way over here can see back into this area that will usually be backstage. So we typically do something to cover that area, right? To conceal it. If we had this picture from the other side, the people that are all the way over here in house right would be able to see backstage on this side. So how do we do that? Well, in a proscenium stage, what we typically do are sort of flats like this. See how they sort of create these areas and they block the audience from being able to see backstage. Thank you, Henley. All right, so that's sight lines is what the audience can see, controlling areas that we don't want the audience to see. And the fourth wall is an invisible wall that separates the world of the play and the audience members. Okay, anything else? We've got act, audition, blocking, cue, fourth wall, interpretation, monologue, rehearsal, scene, sight lines, and stage directions. Blocking. All right, so yeah, we just talked about sight lines, Mildred, right? Sight lines in where what the audience can see, controlling what the audience can see and what they can't. Okay. Blocking is all actor movement on stage. So if you think about 21 Chump Street, all the dances that they did, every time they crossed to sit down at the table with the narrator, when Justin did that dance, when Naomi got up and stood on the chair, all of that is blocking, right? So physical movement that happens on stage by the actors is blocking. What else? Let's talk about stage directions because nobody's mentioned that one. Okay. Stage directions are written by the playwright and they are written from the perspective of the actor. Okay. So when you're reading stage directions, you have to imagine that you are an actor on stage facing the audience, right? It's stage left, stage right, upstage, and downstage. So downstage is towards the audience, upstage is away from the audience, and stage left and stage right are from the actor's perspective. Okay? Upstage, downstage. Now, up and downstage sound a little weird, right? They were brought about, and I'm going to draw a very, very sad drawing here. At one point during history, which we will get to, the stage was actually on what we call a rake. And a rake sort of is where, like, so this is the audience. Oh, why is it so big? Oh, it's not, just the text box is. Okay. So if here's the audience, right? It was like a flat piece and then it would go up in elevation. Yes, for stage directions. Yes. So when you went up the rake, you were going up stage, right? And when you went down the rake, you were going down stage. So that's where those two come from. So left and right are the actors left and right. And upstage is kind of like a term that we never changed, that goes from when the stage actually had this like slant to it. So it's an older term, but we still use it. Okay, so those are our four primary stage directions: are stage left, stage right, upstage, and downstage. Okay, anything else from the actor director vocabulary? Again, take a look at your sheet, right? And compare it to the list here and see if there's anything you want some more assistance with. Oh, sorry. Henley changed the slide. I apologize. If you can't use your camera in a manner becoming to a classroom, I will just turn your camera off. Okay, anything else? So again, you've got your sheet right in front of you. I just thought it would be easier if you sort of could relate what vocabulary is used by which people primarily, okay? All right, let's move on then. Playwright vocabulary. So again, look at your sheet. We've got characterization, conflict, intention, playwright, plot, stage business, stage directions, and theme. Anything on the sheet that you would like me to go over in more detail? There's a few of you who still have your cameras off. I know Brian's camera isn't working, but the rest of you should have your cameras on, okay? Thank you, thank you. I have two monitors so I can see you. Okay, so we've got a couple. Playwright, all right. So what is a playwright? A playwright, and look at your sheet, a person who writes dialogue in the form of a play. So if you are writing a story primarily through dialogue, surprise, you're a playwright. All right, so we're telling a story and we're telling it through dialogue, right? This is how plays are different than novels or poems, okay? So a person who writes a story primarily through dialogue. Okay, so then we had a question about characterization. Okay. So this one is a little bit difficult, right? It's creating a character, but you have to base your character on the things that they say and do during the play. So an actor has to use, Emily, can you stop stepping on my microphone? An actor has to use what their character says and does in the play first. And we're basing our characters off of that information that we're given. This is primarily why we can have, 30 different versions of Hamlet, right? And you can watch different versions of Hamlet and different actors approach the character in a unique way. Okay, Ahmed, right? Jillian, you okay? Because they make slight interpretations that are different from one another. They're all using the same text, but there is some ambiguity in the text, right? There are some things that we can make decisions on that make it unique. Take a look at the definition for stage business and make sure you understand that one. Everybody clear about that one? So that says no. Okay. So if stage directions are movements, right, that an actor does, stage business are like smaller movements that might not usually don't require an actor to move. So it could be something like playing cards or knitting, or like in 21 Chump Street where they all put the pencil behind their ear, or they all open up their book, right? They're like little movements that are done on stage that tell us something about the character. So like the opening the book, the putting the pencil behind their ear, that tells us, right, that they're in class. Okay. Or when the actors playing the boys all put their hands behind their backs, right? There were no physical handcuffs, but you got the idea that that's what was happening, right? By the stage business. Okay, anything else on this one? We good? Okay. Finally, we have technical theater. So again, compare this to your sheet. Backstage, dress rehearsal, the house, props, orchestra pit, the proscenium arch, the set, the stage directions, stage manager, technical theater, and strike. So look at your sheets, see if there's anything from this list that you would like a more detailed explanation about, and I will do so. Proscenium arch, proscenium arch. Okay, so let's go back to our picture of the proscenium. Okay, so the proscenium arch is this structure that sort of creates that fourth wall, right? In some places, it's much more of an actual arch. Okay. And in some places now it's more of a square, like the first picture we were looking at, but it creates that so that we have that backstage area and that fly space area. Okay. So that is it's just a piece of a part of the theater, part of the architecture of the theater. Technical theater. Technical theater is the design elements, right? The designers and artists who create the visual and sound of the play. So let's see, let me find. Okay, so here's a production of Hedda Gabler. So all of this part, the lighting, the person who built the screens, right? That's all part of technical theater. The people who make those components, the costumes. There's another version of it. Okay, so that's technical theater. It has to do with the stuff that's not acting and directing, right? Good. Anything else from this list? I want to make sure that, you know, if the list is confusing, it's a pretty decent list to start us off with, right? And we need like a common vocabulary to use when we're talking about these things, which is why I wanted to start with something like this. Feel comfortable about strike? Okay, good. So a strike is one of two things. It can be the process of clearing off the stage at the end of the night. So we typically will remove all the props, sometimes the furniture, depending on what else is going on in that space, or they get moved to the back, right? So, but we clear some of the elements off at the end of the night, okay? The second meaning of strike is that it can be at the end of the actual run of the show, of the play. So the play is closed. We're not doing it anymore. We actually take down all of the sets, right? We actually like, unscrew everything and take the whole set down. So that process is called strike. So it's the removal of things from the stage. Okay. Feel comfortable about everything else? Okay, so I have a question for you then. Why is having a common vocabulary important? Not just for the theater, but you know, we have it in math and physics and most subjects in sports. What does that do for us? So you have a better understanding. Okay, good. You're right, Hannah. What else? You and your peers know what you're talking about. Yeah, that helps, right? So different people come from all over the country to do theater together. They have to know what, if we have a common vocabulary, we can all like start off on the same foot. Yeah. Anything else anybody can think of? Well, for one thing, it creates a sense of community, right? Like you said, so that everybody can like come together. Universal. Yeah. The other thing too in theater is that it can eliminate some elements of danger. So like, for instance, when we are like lowering something or raising something from the fly space in the theater, we call heads, right? If you don't know what that means, then you might not understand that something's about to come down from the sky, right? So you could potentially get hit by it. Okay. So it can also be a safety issue. So we're going to watch a short little skit here. It's about 6 minutes long by a company called Studio C. It's called Stage Directions. And I want you to do 3 things. The first thing is I want you to observe how the actors try to follow what the director tells them to do. The second thing I want you to do is figure out what the genre of this skit is. And the third thing is that I want you to determine what you think this skit is trying to say about some people in theater. All right, so 3 things: genre, the actors attempting to follow directions. Here, I'll put it in the chat too. Sorry. I know some of you were probably writing that down. Let me go back. Having multiple monitors is like real fun. Okay. So genre of skit, how the actors try to follow directions, and what do you think this is saying about some people in theater? All right. So let me make sure I've got my computer sound on. I do. Hooray. If you need to turn your camera off while the skit is going on to have better sound quality, go ahead and do so. So if you know that you have bandwidth problems, do that now. Okay. It's only like 6 minutes long. So just make sure to turn it back on when you're done.
Excuse me, is this where the rehearsal is?
Yeah, I'm Mallory.
Matt, I'm playing Thatcher.
Oh, Marguerite.
Oh, okay.
Great. Well, do you know anything about this director,
No,
actually?
I haven't even met her.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Me neither.
Good evening, Thatcher, Marguerite. I'd introduce myself, but I assume you already know who I am.
Yes.
Valencia.
Yes.
Tonight we'll be rehearsing scene 3, page 24 in your scripts.
Okay. Scene 3. We are in Thatcher's firelit living room. Thatcher is gazing into the fire while swirling a glass of brandy.
Bigger swirls, Thatcher. Good. Yes, get it all over. Yes. Yes. Now keep that up. Don't ever stop swirling that brandy.
Okay.
Okay. Marguerite enters. She walks up to Thatcher clutching a live ferret. Is that a misprint?
No. You'd be surprised how many rodents there are in this piece.
Okay. Is it just...
Yes. Yes, pet the ferret. Oh, that's wonderful. That's lovely. Okay, proceed.
Marguerite, what are you doing here at this hour?
Thatcher, keep in mind that you're holding a cigar.
Oh,
No, you look like you're blowing bubbles. A cigar. Hold the Why have you stopped swirling the brandy? Never stop swirling the brandy.
I'm sorry, I've never smoked before.
Bigger swirls, Thatcher.
Okay.
I'm here because I have to talk to you. It's about our son. He's dead. At that moment, Marguerite reaches into her duffel bag and pulls out the body of a full-grown man.
Yes, and I've already cast the body, so you have something to work with. Jeremy, are you around here? Jeremy, dear? Ah, yes.
Here I am.
Hello, darling. Back in the bag.
Hello.
Okay. Thatcher, we must burn the evidence before the police arrive, including this.
Hello.
Pulls an 18-pound bowling ball from the bag. Okay, so...
No, put your fingers in the holes. The bowling ball holes. Yes, the 3 of them. And the ball should be a little heavier than that, Marguerite. Heavier. A little more. Down. Yes, there you go. And you have the ferret on your shoulder still. Just pet it.
Okay, Marguerite and Thatcher carry the body and the bowling ball to the fireplace while wiping away gentle tears.
Okay.
Mind his head.
I'm all right.
Our son.
The ferret, Marguerite, the ferret. And the bowling ball. Thatcher, please keep in mind you have the cigar and the brandy still. Yes, Marguerite, don't forget about that ferret. And Jeremy, you should have rigor mortis at this point. Yes. It's wonderful. Really feel the terror.
Okay.
Let's go, come on. Come on, more tears. You're cremating your only son here. Thatcher, you have a line here. No, don't leave the body. Hurry, hurry, the police are on their way. Swirl the brandy, Thatcher, swirl it. No, it's all wrong. You look like you've got palsy, Thatcher. Marguerite, you are crushing that ferret beneath your mannish jaw. It's dead, honey.
Okay, Thatcher gazes into the fire for one last look at his son and promptly bursts into flames.
Uh-huh.
So how are we gonna do that exactly?
We're going to set you on fire.
Oh. Okay, Thatcher begins to roll on the ground.
Marguerite grabs a blanket and desperately tries to suffocate the flames. Okay, so.
And Jeremy, if you could play the fire as well. Yes. Marguerite, your fingers are stuck in the bowling ball still for the rest of Act 2.
Bowling ball?
The bowling ball, yes.
Okay, so.
Yes. Beautiful. Struggle a little.
Okay.
Swirl the brandy, Thatcher!
Isn't that like a major fire hazard at this point?
Swirl it! All over yourself! The floor, everything! The ferret! Jeremy, you're beautiful, darling! I feel the heat!
Okay, I'm sorry. Does this not look ridiculous to you?
No, it just feels unnatural because you don't have the actual props. I promise, it'll look great.
Okay, I don't know. I've never tried to fight a flaming rolling man while holding a bowling ball and a ferret, but I feel like my character would put them down.
Yeah, I don't know, Valencia. Maybe we should look into a rewrite for this scene. I mean, it's not a comedy. It's a drama for children.
Fine, let's put this on the back burner and move on to scene 4.
Thank you.
Jeremy, if you could play the meteor and the unsuspecting traffic cop, that would be great.
Okay, scene 4. Marguerite enters as a robot and flies.
Yes, and keep in mind, you're still holding your pet ferret and the bowling ball.
All right, let's turn our cameras back on. So what genre is this? That's the easy one, right? What's the genre of the skit? Comedy, right? Okay, obviously written to entertain, right? Okay. How did the actors react to the directions that they were given? Okay, thank you for letting me know. They were suspicious, they were confused, they followed them, right? They're trying to follow them. They get confused, they get overwhelmed, they're surprised, right? but they are trying their best, right? Up until the point where she just can't continue any longer, right? Okay. Do the directions that are they making sense? Pressured? Yes. Hannah, that's good. Yeah. Right. They have to do what the director says, right? And that's an attitude that we deal with a lot in the theater, is that, you know, a lot of people treat the director as sort of this like person that can never be questioned. Okay. All right. So that's sort of what what this is trying to say, right? Is that the director can give you all these like ridiculous requests, and as the actor, you're supposed to try to accommodate them. Good. All right. Good job. So before we move on to our quiz, I just want to let you know for the homework, you're going to need to watch Crash Course Theater 1 and take notes, and it is in Schoology. Okay. It's about, I think, a 12 to 15-minute video. All right. So I want you to watch that before our next session so that you'll have some information on what we are going to cover in our next session. All right, so that's your homework for the weekend from me. Just watch a video and take notes on it. Like I mentioned, I think it's between 12 and 15 minutes. They're all about that length of time. There's only a couple that are a lot longer. Okay? So I would like you to use the rest of this time to make sure you can get into the quiz, which is due by midnight tonight. If you can start it and resume it later. So if you want to go ahead and start it now and get as far as you can, that's great. And then you can resume it later tonight. Okay. Do your best. Fill in, especially for the short answers. I would suggest that you always put in something, because partial credit is better than no credit, right? Okay. So if you go into Schoology, and I'll show you where to go. So if you go into our Schoology, so here we are, into class content, and then this week, and today's date, it's, well, let me publish it. That would help. And make sure that you can actually submit. So it's due by midnight tonight. It is your first summative. Sorry, Schoology was down earlier, so. And yep, it is enabled. So there you go. You're all set. You should be able to begin it. All right. So make sure that you can log in and use the rest of this time to begin the quiz. Don't worry about the self-assessment. We're going to bump that back to next week. Okay. So you don't have to worry about that. I just haven't, here, I'll unpublish it right now so you don't have to even look at it. Okay. So don't worry about that right now. We're going to talk about it next week. Just the plot and vocabulary quiz. All right. Once you have finished the quiz, you can let me know in chat. If you do not finish it during the next 12 minutes, not a problem. Just you can resume it later. Okay. So you can pick up wherever you leave off. All right. But if you do happen to finish it, great. If you were already in Schoology, you're going to have to refresh to get in, Zanette, because it was unpublished. So try it now. If you can't get in, let me know so I can make sure that You have the right permissions.
It says Schoology Learning is currently unavailable.
Okay, so you're getting the 503 error. Okay. Keep refreshing it if you cannot get in right now. Hopefully you can get in later tonight. If not, shoot me an email and let me know later this evening, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, there was a problem earlier with Schoology, and Schoology told us it was fixed, but
Is it asking who the protagonist is in general or who it was in a video?
in general.
Okay.
For those of you who are having that Schoology is down, just keep trying. And if you cannot get the test to work by, let's say, 9 p.m. tonight, email me and let me know. And we'll just have to do a makeup day for you. Okay, again, anything that's stopping you from taking the test, you'll just have to do it later, okay? Or do a makeup day. Yes, there are problems with Schoology that are not. Yes, there are problems with Schoology. That's why you can resume it. Okay. So if you get kicked out, probably maybe wait until later when most people are not in class and you will be able to finish the quiz. If you cannot finish the quiz by 9 p.m. tonight, email me. That's for everyone.
All right. So if it said expire this quiz, do it later.
You can do it later. Yes, you can resume it later. That's why I added the resume feature because Schoology's been very
All right.
down. Okay. Okay, so for those of you who were quizzing, I would suggest that you sort of get to a place where you can take a break and resume later. Remember to do the homework before next session. And then I want to make sure you get your 10, 11 minutes before you move on to your final class of the week. If anybody has any questions, let me know. And I'm happy to attempt to answer them or tell you who to speak to about that. Otherwise, I will see you next Tuesday.
Can we resume the test next class?
No, you need to have it finished by today, by the end of the day.
Okay.
Okay, good.
I have a question.
Yes, Theory.
Okay, so, hold on. So, in Power School, I didn't know that the diagnostic test was for a grade.
It's not. So it's not
Okay.
included in your grade. The grades are, if you look at the actual like information,
Yes, ma'am.
whatever score you got, but it's ungraded. It's not actually, it's in Power School, but it doesn't count to anything.
Okay, so the exit ticket for lesson 1, I wasn't able to do it. Like, I
Okay.
tried to attempt to do it and it said I wasn't able to.
Okay. All right. If you can send me that in writing, then
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can give you credit for it. I just have to have like so just send me a message in Schoology that says that, and then we're
Mhm.
good. Okay.
Okay. Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. Okay, guys, it is noon. Actually, it's 12:01. So I'm going to end the class. Take your break. Resume the quiz later. Okay. Any other questions? We good?
I have a question.
Yes, Ahmed.
Math testing, does that
Yes.
start from like 1 to 3 or 2
It's
to 3?
2 to 3. Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're
because
welcome.
I was in like my internet.
Oh, I think his internet is cutting out right then. That was unfortunate. All right. I'll see you guys next week.
Um,
You have a question?
yeah, how come every time whenever I'm using the test and I press the next page, it takes a whole hour to take me to another question?
It's just a problem with Schoology. Schoology is having issues right now. That's why I put the resume feature on it. If a ton of people are having problems today, that's why I said email me by 9 if you can't finish it. Then I'll extend it over the weekend. Okay. Okay.
Where
I'll
do I
send-
find my map test?
Okay. Let me find that information real quick.
I know. Can I tell?
Yeah, sure.
You just go to orientation week when you go to courses. And then
Orientation week?
and the ninth grade. I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, bro, you just FaceTime me, bro. Just FaceTime me.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you guys for working together. Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.